Hello all. In this session, we are going to discuss assignment 7, that is write x86 64-bit ALP assembly language program to detect protected mode and display the values of GDTR, LDTR, IDTR, task register, machine status word register. Also identify CPU type using CPU ID instruction. So if you will check statement properly, that is you supposed to write assembly language program to detect protected mode. Already you must be aware about different modes are there. From that you supposed to check if processor is in protected mode or in real mode. It can be virtual mode also. So in which mode processor is we supposed to check, and then if processor in protected mode or virtual mode, then we can display values of these register, as these registers are accessible in protected mode only. Okay. So first we will discuss few points, theoretical points related to these registers, and then we will discuss about program, assembly language program related to this. So these are system address register. That is, there are four system address registers. First one GDTR, global descriptor table register. Second LDTR, third IDTR, fourth task register. These register hold the addresses for four special descriptor table segments. Okay. First, you supposed to remember long form of these register, as you supposed to implement assignment, and in final exam you supposed to face oral for same. So you must be aware about theoretical points and implementation points as well. So you supposed to know long form of all these register, where they can be accessible or where they can be used, and other things or other basic information related to these registers, which we are going to discuss. So GDTR, LDTR, IDTR, task register. So basic thing related to GDTR points to global descriptor table. Three tables are there: LDT, IDT, GDT. So GDTR, it points to GDT. If I am saying LDTR points to local descriptor table, that is nothing but LDT. Same way, if I am saying IDTR, interrupt descriptor table register, which points to interrupt descriptor table. Task register, that is, it points to task state segment. This register points to information needed by processor to define current task. Again, I will read. This register points to information needed by processor to define current task. So, task register will point to current task state segment, that is nothing but currently whatever task in execution, it will point to that. Next is related to size of these register. GDTR 48-bit, IDTR 48-bit, LDTR size is 16-bit. Task register is also having two parts, but right now GDTR and IDTR size is 48-bit, LDTR size is 16-bit. Now basic thing related to GDTR, as you must be aware about, in protected mode we already discussed related to different descriptor tables are there, how they are going to access in segmentation, how descriptors are accessible by selector, and where they will point. So now we will stick to these register description and related to our assignment required things. So if I am saying GDTR, so you can observe here in diagram also, GDTR is 48-bit. Okay. So if you will check this GDTR, It is 48-bit register. It is located inside 80386. The lower two bytes of this register specifies limit. Okay, the value of limit is 1 less than actual size of table because it starts from 0. Okay, since limit field is 16-bit long, GDT can grow up to 65536 bytes long. The upper 4 bytes of GDTR specifies linear base address of global descriptor table. You must be aware about descriptor format and all. What basic information is required, that is base and limit value. So GDTR will give from where GDT table starts, that is what is the starting address by using these two fields, and what is the maximum size of this table can be checked through limit field. Okay, similar manner if we will check just one more point, 1 to 8192, because these many descriptors can be there in GDT. Now if you will check for IDTR, its size is also 48-bit. So what information it holds, that is important, and its name is interrupt descriptor table. Accordingly, information is there for IDTR. So like global descriptor table register, interrupt descriptor table holds 16-bit limit, 32-bit linear address of base of interrupt descriptor table. Interrupt descriptor tables are used to define interrupt. Okay, this interrupt descriptor register. Okay, it is pointing to IDT, that is nothing but interrupt descriptor table. Okay, its size, IDTR size is 48-bit, but if you will check here, like for GDTR we discussed ki it will start from 8192. So these many descriptors will be there in global descriptor table, but if you will observe here, 1 to 256, these many interrupts will be there in interrupt descriptor table. So in theory part you can check things related to interrupts, that is nothing but 256 interrupts can be there, or which are supported by 80386. So if we will check IDT table, so these many interrupts will be stored or can be stored in IDT. Therefore the size of IDT should should not be more than 256. Only 256 interrupts are there because of that. Okay, other things are same, that is limit field, which will say what will be the limit of IDT table, and base will say from where IDT table starts in memory. Okay, if we will go for next, that is related to LDTR, that is nothing but local descriptor table register. What basic points we supposed to check here in LDTR, that is nothing but it is 16-bit register. It is 16-bit register LDTR. Okay, and it does not specify any limit or base address of the segment. Like we discuss in IDTR and GDTR, they are giving base address and limit. But here, as LDTR is 16-bit, it is not giving any limit or base address of the segment, but it specifies address of LDT descriptor stored in global descriptor table. See, as students, even though we are discussing LDTR or LDT, these local descriptor tables are again going to store in GDT. Don't get confused here. Only remember one point. LDTR holds selector that points to LDT descriptor. Whenever selector is loaded into LDTR, the corresponding descriptor is located. Okay. Okay. So remember, LDTR is 16-bit, which will point to LDT descriptor, which may be stored in GDT, which may be in LDT. At this stage, you are supposed to remember LDTR will point to LDT descriptor and its value will be, or its size is 16-bit. Okay, this is related to LDTR. Now, task register. You can check this diagram. Here you can observe task register label. That is nothing but task register is having visible part and invisible part. Okay, separately we cannot search for task register, but remember at this stage task register having two parts, one is visible part, one is invisible part. Already you are aware about selector. We discuss in segmentation process. Selector is visible part of task register. Invisible part of task register is this, and where it is stored, that is nothing but in descriptor. Okay, so we will just check statements. The task register has both visible portion that can be read or changed by instruction, that is selector part, and invisible portion maintained by the processor to correspond to visible portion. Okay, cannot read by any instruction. It is very important. Processor, it is visible for processor. It is not visible, or it cannot be changed by user or programmer. Okay, or cannot be read by any instruction. The selector is visible portion, selects TCS descriptor, or at this stage you can just remember the selector will point to descriptor, and other information such as base address and limit field will be taken from descriptor. Okay. The processor uses invisible portion for getting base and limit values of descriptor. Now next, if you will check statement again, we discuss a few points from the statement, few points in the sense what is the meaning of these four register and basic information about that. Now we will discuss about MSW register, or what is MSW, how it is used, where it is used. That is also important in oral. These type of questions can be there related to these points. So MSW, long form is machine status word. So control register CR0 is CR0. Okay, holds the MSW, that is lower 16 bits of CR0 is MSW. If you will check CR0, it is 32 bit. Okay, from these 32 bit, few bits are active, few bits are in use, and from these 32 bit, lower 16 bits are called as MSW, that is machine status word. Name itself is saying it will give status of the machine. Now check. It contains 6 status bits: PE, MP, EM, TS, ET, PG. P, protection enable; MP, math present; EM, emulate coprocessor; TS, task switched; ET, extension type; PG is paging. Actually, up to this 5th bit, it comes under MSW, because only lower 16 bit of CR0 is called as MSW. So which bits are there? That is nothing but PE, MP, EM, TS, ET. Okay. So next we will check related to these bits. Just basic information we will go through, and then we will check for programming part. So you supposed to remember long form of all these bits. Okay, these are single bits. If I am saying P, value can be 0 or 1. So we will check that. Now first bit or zeroth bit, I can say PE, protection enable. This bit is similar to VM bit in E flag. That is the thing, but whenever you want to switch processor in another mode, you supposed to set or reset specific bit, then only processor can shift in another mode. For example, from real to protected, PE bit is there. From protected to virtual, VM bit is there. So VM bit is present in E flag, PE bit is present in control register 0. Okay. So in that it controls 80386 mode of operation. If PE bit is set, that means 1, it is in protection mode or protected mode. If PE bit is clear, that is equal to 0, it operates in real mode. Now next bit, that is MP, math present. MP is set to 1, that is MP is set, that means 1. The 80386 assume the real floating point hardware, that is floating point hardware is present. It may be 287 or it may be 387 present in the system. If MP is clear, that is equal to 0, it assumes no such coprocessor exists and will attempt to use real floating point hardware. Okay, so will not attempt to use real floating point hardware. So basically MP bit is set or reset will decide or will give information, that is separate coprocessor is available or not. And if separate coprocessor is available, that may be 287 or 387. If MP bit is clear, it gives information that separate coprocessor is not available. Now check next. EM equal to 1, that is emulate coprocessor. If 80386 will generate exception 11, device not available, whenever it attempts to execute floating point instruction. So related to that, if MP bit is set or reset, that information can be received that coprocessor is available or not. And again related to same, EM bit can be used if coprocessor is not available, okay, device is not available. At that time, specific exception can be generated if floating point instruction needs to be executed at that time. Programmer can use this exception handler to emulate floating point hardware in software. Okay, so that manner it can be handled. Okay, next related to TS register, TS bit, the 80386 sets the bit automatically every time it performs task switch. Name itself is task switch, and task switch is required in multitasking. So 80386 automatically sets this bit whenever task switch is required. It will never clear this bit on its own. So this bit is not reset on its own, like by using instruction and all, but by using specific instructions. Specific in the sense, in protected mode, few instructions are given which can be used for this type of settings. So programmer can clear this bit using one instruction is given for this TS, that is nothing but clear task switch, that is CLTS instruction. Okay. Now if you will check next bits, for example ET. Okay, so ET name itself is extension type. So if you will check for ET bit, when it is or when power is applied, 80 detects whether numerical processor connected in 80287 or 387. What it means? Already we discussed ki coprocessor is present or not, that can be checked. If coprocessor is present, it can be checked which coprocessor, 287 or 387, because both are suitable or both are compatible with 386. So if ET is 1, that means 387. This is necessary because 387 uses slightly different protocol than 287. So if ET is 0, that is 287 coprocessor is available. If ET is 1, it indicates 387 coprocessor is present. Similar manner, one more bit is there, but it doesn't fall under machine status word. Just we will go through this bit, because if you will check diagram in this 32-bit, this CR0 is 32-bit register. This 31st bit doesn't fall under machine status word. As I already discussed, only first 16 bit are machine status word. Just we will go through this paging. This bit enables or disable paging mechanism in memory management unit MMU. If bit is set, paging is enabled. Name itself is saying this bit is for paging. Okay, clear to all? Okay, so whatever we discuss that is related to assignment, whatever theoretical points you must be aware about. For implementation also you must be aware about this theoretical point. For oral point of view also you must be aware about depth or these all theoretical points, then only you can speak out. Now we will discuss about program, how to implement this in program, that is nothing but in assembly language program. So just I will open that program and we will discuss and then we will execute that program. This is assembly language program for implementing or for checking if processor in protected mode or in real mode. If processor in protected mode, then display the content of this register. As you are aware about key, these registers are accessible in protected mode. So we supposed to check first processor in real or protected mode. If processor in protected mode, we can go ahead for displaying content of these register. Now, first part of assembly language program, most of the assembly language program requires this, that is section.data for declaration of messages. Okay. So if you are having any doubt related to this, one more video is uploaded, and that is related to basic things of assembly language. Why to declare messages in data section, how to declare, what its what is significance of that. All these points are covered in that video. So for new line, one message is given. You can directly use this message for only new line, like /n. For colon, one message is declared. We can use this later on whenever we are going to use, that time also we can discuss, but remember that is declared here. These are all messages like processor in real mode, processor in protected mode, GDTR content, IDTR content, LDTR content, task register content, machine status word content. So all these messages are declared in data section. Now if we will go to next section, that is nothing but section.bss, where memory can be reserved for the variable. This part is also covered in first video, or where I introduced about assembly language programming. So here memory is reserved for different register, we can say, or different variable, we can say. These, even though same names are used like GDTR, This is variable here. I can give other name also, but for convenience, for understanding purpose, same names are used here. So GDTR RESW3, reserve word. How many words? 3 words. As it is 48 bit, this is comment. So as GDTR is 48 bit, so 3 words. 16, 16, 16. 16 bit, 32 bit, 48 bit. If you will add 3 words, 48 bit. Same way for IDTR. LDTR will require only one reserve word because it is 16 bit. Trans register single machine status word, only single 16 bit or single word is sufficient. One more variable is declared here, char ans RESB4. It is required in display procedure. We will discuss at that time, but remember here reserve byte 16 bit as 4 digit we want to display at a time. Next part is related to macro. Macro already discussed in assembly language introduction video. So macro is declared here, which is for printing purpose. Different messages we supposed to print in this assignment. So macro is initialized, macro is given here. Read macro is also given. If you will check, value of these registers are changed in print macro and in read macro. Okay. Macro you can check for syscall also. This is for exit. Okay. Those who are not understanding these things, they supposed to first watch assembly language introduction part and then they can go ahead with this video. Okay. Next is nothing but section.text, where coding part is required or coding part can be done in section.text. This is nothing but label at the starting. This syntax is there, like void main in C, same way global start, and that label supposed to be given here. And from this point you can start your program. Now SMSW, this is instruction which can be used in protected mode. S stands for store. MSW already we discussed, machine status word. So this instruction is available. What it will do? It will store machine status word in given variable. Okay, once this instruction will execute, this will store machine status word in this variable. Square brackets are given because at this memory location where MSW is pointing, already reserved one word memory 16 bit for MSW. So at that location data will be stored. Now what we supposed to check, why we are taking this content? Because we want to check if PE bit of MSW is 1 or not. If it is 1, processor in protected mode. So we already aware about PE bit is nothing but first bit, 0th bit. TR0 by using MSW. So now what next thing is done? This part is nothing but for checking processor in protected mode or not. Okay. So first content are copied in one register, rotate to the right, okay. Okay, so rotate to the right, RAX1. So when I am using this instruction, content of RAX 0th bit will copy to carry flag. Okay. So what next I am checking? If carry flag is set after this instruction, what it means? 0th bit, that is PE bit contents are rotated by 1 so that content or 0th bit content will transfer to carry flag. Now I can check if carry flag is set, that means processor in protected mode. This is label. So if carry is set, it will go to this label. What is written? One message is printed, that is nothing but processor in protected mode. If carry is not generated, processor or execution will go for next line. It will display processor in real mode. Okay. Now, if carry, it will go here. If not carry, it will go here. Okay. Now go to the next. Jump to the next. Directly unconditional jump instruction. So it will jump to this label. Now for taking content of different register like GDTR, IDTR, LDTR, task register, and again MSW is supposed to display. So again that those contents are taken by using these instructions as GDT, as IDT, as LDT, STR, as MSW. These are all protected mode instruction which will store content of these into variable which is given with that instruction. There are two type of instructions, store and load. We can modify by using L instead of S, but we just want to take content, so we are using store S. Okay, prefix S you supposed to use. Remember this. Now contents are available in these memory locations. Okay. Now we supposed to display those. So how it can be displayed? That is main part, then that is last part. First message is print, that is content of GDTR we supposed to display. Now we cannot directly display 48 bits because whatever next is written, that is display procedure, which is of 16 bit. So what is done here? GDTR plus 4. Okay. If you will check here, Little Indian. So take last word first. So load value of GDTR 4th and 5th. If you will check 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 locations are used. So 4th and 5th in AX. What it means? AX is 16 bit. So 4th and 5th location combined data will be copied in AX register, and then we can call display procedure, because this display procedure will display content of AX register. Okay, whatever procedure written, that is display procedure here, which is for display of content of AX register. You can modify depend on your requirement, but remember at this stage, if you are passing content in AX prior to calling display procedure, it is nothing but content of AX register will be displayed. So you are supposed to pass those content into AX, call display. Similar manner, GDTR plus 2, second and third location contents, call display, colon. Here after that base address, colon can be given, and then next location contents can be displayed. So similar manner, GDTR plus 0, that is 0th and first location content are shifted or copied in AX register, and display procedure is called. Similar manner, this same process is applicable, this same process is applied for IDTR. Okay, one more point you supposed to remember, or important point you supposed to remember, as our display procedure is 16 bit, directly whole GDTR content, whole IDTR content we cannot pass to display procedure, and for that purpose division is done 16 bit, 16 bit, 16 bit, combinedly 48 bits. Okay, in output you can observe that point. Now IDTR, similar manner things are done. You can check here, then this one. For LDTR, already it is 16 bit, only LDTR content are copied to AX and display procedure is called. Similar manner, task register, TR contents are copied in AX and display procedure is called. MSW, it is also 16-bit, so contents are copied in AX and display procedure is called. Now what is important, this program will end here. We supposed to go check for display procedure. This display procedure, when video is already uploaded, just I am saying this display 16 procedure we called here for display of 16-bit or display of 4-digit. 4-digit are nothing but 16-bit. So you can check those things, how it is displayed, how numbers are converted into ASCII value, equivalent ASCII of that number, ASCII hex value I can say, and then those are displayed. Just I will execute this and we will check output of this. As I am having a ready program, I am just copy pasting. If you can type that program, you supposed to type that program and you can execute. Okay, whatever program just now we discussed, I am copying that program in online compiler where I can execute. Okay, this online compiler you supposed to use for execution of your program. Okay, now code is copied. Now I want to run because I don't want to give any input. This program doesn't require any input. Directly I can check output for this. Just wait. Uh, Comment is missing, so it is giving error. You're supposed to comment at the starting. Whatever messages are given, those are comments. Now next part is nothing but program, so you're supposed to execute or you can execute this program. So if you will check output, that is nothing but properly it is giving output. Processor is in protected mode. GDTR content 48-bit. We used colon in between because these 32 bits are for base address, these 16-bit are for limit. Same way IDTR 48-bit, LDTR 0, task register and this. These values are changing. Just I will execute it again. You can observe here changes are there because processor in protected mode, and accordingly these register contents will change. Whatever task is going on, current task is going on, accordingly contents are going to change. But what we supposed to observe and what we supposed to display, that is nothing but this output is expected, these contents we supposed to display. Okay, so while executing code, while writing program, you supposed to comment properly with semicolon, and then you can write your program so easily you can understand afterwards also if your program is well commented. Okay, so this is related to assignment 7 which we just discussed. Title was write 8086 or x86, we can say, not 8086, x86. So we have executed this for 386. 64-bit means 64-bit register we supposed to use for assembly language program to detect processor in protected mode, and contents of these registers supposed to be displayed. Okay.